Rock hoists were used on the Butte Hill for hauling ore and waste material out of the mines. By inspection of the motions of the dial indicators, it is observed that the direction of rotation correlates to the direction the associated skip is traveling. If the dial is rotating upward, for example, the skip in that shaft compartment is traveling upward, and vice versa. Observe the dial indicators in the model as the skips travel in the shaft from top to bottom and return. If you think it would be more intuitive for one dial to be pointed straight up while the other is pointed straight down at the upper and lower limits of skip travel, I agree. That is why we are going to change the gear ratio inside the gearbox to accomplish this very thing. Step 1 is to dismantle the existing gearbox to see how it works. To proceed, it will be necessary to isolate it from the hoist foundation by removing its hold downs, which at this scale are repurposed dressmaker pins. I do use screws in some instances, but generally do not because the smallest ones that are readily available are prohibitively bulky. That done, we're ready to begin the dismantling process. We'll start with the indicator masts. In the construction of this model and its components, I avoid gluing in many instances so that I can repair, replace, and upgrade while not having to replace big assemblies for the sake of a few parts. With the removal of a few pins and a clip, we're inside. Now is a good time to mention that in my lifetime of building models, I have adhered to an uncompromising principle. If it's supposed to spin, it has to spin. If it's supposed to move, it has to move.
Someone glued my wheels! Who would do that?
With a view of the interior, we can now discuss the principle of operation of the gearbox. This is the input shaft and is connected directly to the hoist drums, which means that the number of turns of the crank is equal to the number of turns of the drums. Another way to say this is that the crank and the drums spin at a 1-to-1 ratio. We don't want the dial indicator to spin 1-to-1 with the crank because that would make it a type of propeller rather than an indicator. Just for fun, let's make an apparatus to show what a 1-to-1 ratio looks like. This demonstration verifies the need for gear reduction. First, we need to know the length that the hoist cable will spool in or out for one revolution of the drum, which in math terminology is its circumference. This can be obtained by wrapping a strip of paper around the drum and marking where the ends meet, then measuring the length. The drum radius is 3/8 of an inch, so the circumference can also be calculated with the 2 pi r equation. Both methods concur. One revolution of the drum equals 2.356 inches in circumference and will lift the skip vertically by the same amount. The total vertical travel of the skip is 13.3 inches. Therefore, the total number of cranks required is 13.3 divided by 2.356, which equals 5.645. For 5.645 cranks of the drum, the dial indicator needs to move a half revolution. To accomplish this, it is necessary to employ a gear train which will not only couple the motion of the dial to the drum, but will also provide the necessary gear ratio between the two. If you ever wondered when you would ever use algebra in the real world, the time has come. We need an algebraic equation to calculate the gear ratio, and here it is. A is the required gear ratio, 5.645 is the number of drum turns, and 1/2 is the number of dial turns. We'll solve this equation by using a biblical concept. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Or, in algebra terms, what you do to the equation on one side of the equal sign, do the same to the other side. The size of the gears is also a consideration when configuring. They have to be big enough to work with and fit on their shafts, but small enough to fit with the scale model. Considering all the variables, the most convenient gears were selected. This is a diagram of the gear train with its mathematical derivation, and although not a perfect match, I think it's close enough. Let's print it, let's build it. All ready to reinstall and see if it works. I'm only going to do...
Hey, Greenhorn!
Oh, hello, sir. Can I help you?
Have you seen this man?
Can't say that I have.
There's been a lot of pranks of late, and this here miscreant is the chief of suspects.
Well, I'll certainly keep my eyes peeled.
Do that, lad, and inform me immediately.
Okay, will do.
Lad, or doesn't mine itself. Stop standing around talking and get back to work.
Yes, sir. Now, as I was saying, I really want to test this right away, so I'm only going to do a partial install. After I see if it works as planned, I'll finalize the installation. We're shooting for straight up and straight down. Happily, this is a success, and I'll see you next time.